Now, I have lived all over the state of Iowa, so you could say I may know a thing or two about Iowa, and honestly, I believe Bettendorf is the best city in Iowa. Now, so you may ask, where have I lived? Well, I grew up in a small town of Logan. I lived in Ames. I lived in Ankeny / West Des Moines area, and now I live in the Quad Cities and in Bettendorf, and I think it is one of the best places, and I really want to explain to you why I think this, and it could be a possibility of you moving to if you also agree with me. And the first reason I want to talk about is the school systems in Bettendorf. Yes, I said school systems. There's actually two, even though Bettendorf only sits at about 40,000 people. So what are those two school systems? Well, the first school system is Bettendorf, of course. It is the biggest school system that Bettendorf has, but it also ranks very well in niche.com. And the second school system that has really been talked about and put Bettendorf on the map is Pleasant Valley School District. Now, why is everybody talking about the Pleasant Valley School District? Well, if you look it up on niche.com, it is actually ranked the #1 school system in the entire state of Iowa, not just Bettendorf. So of course, people are kind of drawn to that because they want the best for the kids. Now, I can't say from experience that I went to either one of these, but even with my little knowledge about them, I know they're both really great schools, and people are just really drawn to that, and makes Bettendorf a place to be if you're moving to the Quad Cities. All right, we're gonna break out some numbers for you. Keep with me, I don't want to bore you. And it talks about the cost of living. And if you do a really quick Google search, you may see that Bettendorf is actually 11% lower cost of living compared to the national average. But the more confusing thing is that it's actually 4% higher than the average city in Iowa when it comes to cost of living. So what does that mean? It means that if you're moving in from other places, you're going to see a significant drop in your cost of living. And if you're here and you're seeing it's probably one of the more expensive places in Iowa, not just the Quad Cities. So you get the best of really both worlds. You get the cost of living drop if you're coming in from out of state, but you're also getting some of the best amenities in the cities of the Quad Cities and the state of Iowa, because the cost is a little bit higher compared to other places. And I see this all the time. I have clients come in from California, Texas, Florida, all sorts of different places, and they are coming in paying cash for their homes, or at least having a hefty down payment to pay for a home here. And I've even had clients come in, buy their own personal property, but then also buy a couple of other properties for investment purposes. Because our cost of living is so much lower compared to other states, they have the ability to do that from selling their home in these other states, specifically California or Texas or Florida. So it's kind of a cool benefit. If you're moving to Bettendorf from a different state, you have that consequence of having the better cost of living potentially than where you're coming from. Now, if you're watching this video at all, I'm guessing you're thinking about moving to Bettendorf, because who's looking at videos about Bettendorf, Iowa, unless you're thinking about moving here, or you're already here. So if you're moving here, I would love to help you out. I am a licensed realtor here in the Quad Cities and in Bettendorf specifically, and I know every nook and cranny of this city, so I can help you find the perfect neighborhood for you and your family. So my number is popping up down below. Give me a call, send me a text. I am the one that answers all those phone calls, emails, and text messages. Now, something cool that happens in Bettendorf is that Bettendorf is on the lower end of property taxes when you compare it to the rest of the Quad Cities. Now, with the caveat, Iowa in general is actually a little bit higher in property taxes. And specifically, when we compare in the Quad Cities, we have Illinois versus Iowa, and everybody seems to want to move from Illinois to Iowa because of property taxes, or at least the ones that do move here, they state that is one of their main priorities. But when you look at the average from a national standpoint, Iowa ranks on the lower end or the higher end the worst end of property taxes because we are on the higher end of property taxes. So the benefit of Bettendorf is Bettendorf as a city tries to keep those property taxes lower, and they do it for a couple different reasons. First reason is they want to attract people to the area, and they know that the homes are more expensive in Bettendorf, so they're going to try to keep those taxes low so that you can get a good home but also not have to pay out the nose for the property taxes. And it doesn't mean they lack on the amenities, because what they do is instead of raising taxes, they take out loans to pay for the big capital projects like the road construction and different upgrades to the city, and then pay that over time with the taxes that are coming in. And of course, our taxes go towards those projects, but they try to keep it low on a yearly basis to have the best of both worlds. And personally, I think they do a fairly good job of balancing out both of those realms. And you may be wondering why I know any of this. Well, it's because I took what they call a Citizens Academy through Bettendorf, where they literally invite people from the community in and show them everything that there is to know about the city. They go behind the scenes, they show you the infrastructure, they show you the administration, and the best part is they answer any question that you may have, as long as it's not confidential, which was a very rare occurrence. So I recommend taking that class if you're moving here and you want to know more about Bettendorf. That is a fantastic class. It's only given out once a year, so you want to sign up because it does fill up fairly quickly. Now, another reason I think Bettendorf is the best city in Iowa is because of its self-improvement all the time. It's developing itself, it's reinventing itself, it's upgrading itself constantly. We have two huge areas when you look at Bettendorf. We have the downtown area, and then we have it out by what we call the Bettplex, and those are the two main hubs of development. The downtown area was a little bit worn out, to say the least, and they are changing that. It all got started because of the I-74 bridge getting built, and they have really restructured it down there, and they have even more plans moving forward. They had big buildings go up, like the Bridges, which is an apartment complex. They have the TPK Bank building that went up down there with restaurants in the bottom. And not only that, they have a reinvigoration of the other parts of downtown. So it's a big development, big improvement going on down there. But the bigger and better picture is out by the Bettplex. When I moved here in 2015, it was just a cornfield, and you would not even recognize it today because it is as far away from a cornfield as it possibly can be. The Bettplex was the first thing that was built. It's a sports complex, and it has arcade, it has bowling, it has baseball, softball, volleyball, just about everything you can possibly think of in that facility, and that is what spurred on all the development around it. If you go over there, there is strip malls and shops and local activity going on all the time. The biggest thing that just happened was the Iron T, which is like a Topgolf, just opened up. It is a huge facility. You can see it from the interstate. So it's really popping down there, and people are loving that development, including myself. And that's another reason I think Bettendorf is really one of the top tier cities in the state, because they are always trying to improve upon themselves, and it's really evident when you come here and take a look around. Now, another cool feature of Bettendorf is a cool feature for me specifically because I like to be outdoors. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about their park system, their bike trail system, and their access to the Mississippi River. You know, the bike trail system runs throughout Bettendorf. It's miles and miles and miles long, and it does connect to the Quad Cities itself. So even if you're not in Bettendorf, you're getting around that bike trail system. And in Bettendorf itself, there's 26 different parks, and I know that because I volunteer on the Park Ambassador volunteer list, where we literally drive around to all the parks every single night during the summer to see what's going on and really keep an eye out as part as the community to take care of the parks that we have. And they do a fantastic job of that. If we let them know something's happening, they get on it, they fix it, and it's a good way to have the community involved as well as the city, have it as a joint venture. So it's cool to see that. And if you're just a citizen and you just don't want to be on that, well, luckily for you, there are those 26 parks and hundreds of acres of green space to get out and enjoy, to be out with the family, getting out to the dog park with the dogs. And it's just a wonderful area to have this many parks with really not a huge city. So it's cool to have that, and I highly recommend it if you are an outdoorsy person as well moving to Bettendorf. If you're moving to Bettendorf, there's a good chance you're moving here because of a job, and luckily for you, the jobs in Bettendorf are fairly good. We are at a lower percentage of unemployment here, which means pretty much everybody that wants a job has one. So it's great news, and it really spurs on that economic development that we're really talking about, that they're always trying to improve on themselves. So it's a great asset to have when it comes to Bettendorf. If you're moving here, already have a job or don't, there's a good chance you'll find something if one of the two are not in your favor, because Bettendorf has it all. And I think the coolest thing about Bettendorf is its location. And what specifically about its location? Well, its location in proximity to other big cities. Because Bettendorf is only about 40,000 people, sometimes you want to go experience a big city, and we have larger cities next to us. Des Moines, for example, is only about 2.5 hours away, which still isn't a huge city, but it has some different amenities. And then the big one is Chicago, which is about a 3-hour drive, and you can get into that city fairly easily and fight the traffic if you want to. But more importantly than drive times is we have the international airport just right across the river, very conveniently located, and you can get pretty much anywhere in the United States fairly easily because we are so centrally located. It's usually only a couple hour flight depending on where you're going. In fact, I'm headed to Colorado this weekend, so I'm going to be enjoying the mountains, but it is just a cool feature of where we're located compared to the rest of the United States, that it is so convenient to get anywhere you want to. If you're just maybe tired of the winter or something like that, you can get out and enjoy other locations very easily. Now, if you're moving to Bettendorf, again, it's a complicated city, and I know every nook and cranny. So if you're moving here and you want to find that perfect neighborhood for you, well, give me a call. I am a licensed realtor here in the city of Bettendorf, and I would love to help you out. So my number is popping up down below. Give me a call, send me a text. I am the one that answers all those phone calls, emails, and text messages. But if you're just curious what Bettendorf has to offer, well, check out this video right here.